right, we are here with Jason Licht, General Manager of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And yeah, we're chatting before we even start. Jason, you said you don't have any gotchas like you had for our friend Connor Orr back in the day when he didn't predict your record to be good enough. Poor Connor in that spot.
Back in the day, it was only a year ago.
That's true.
That hasn't gone away yet. Right?
I've aged quite a bit. No, we give the Bucs a lot of pop. Just last week, we were previewing your offseason. I said, quietly, one of the best run organizations in the NFL. Your draft record has been outstanding over the last few years. Now you're at the point, though, where you have to decide to prioritize which of these draft picks, which of the homegrown guys that you are able to keep. Do you have anything for us, let's say, on Chris Godwin, who I know you extended that negotiating period with, and your confidence in trying to talk to him?
Yeah, Chris means the world to this team and to all of us. I mean, he's going to be on the Mount Rushmore of Bucs when it's all said and done. So, we hope it works out. He had a major injury. So we needed to extend that to give us some more flexibility, some more options with that. So hopefully it all works out.
Yeah, you a couple of the guys that came up too, I was thinking something you guys have done a good job is getting contracts done early. So you have some guys like Luke Gedeke, Zion McCollum, Cade Otton, who have all been really good contributors. Like, how do you kind of look at that process, balancing this time of year? You're evaluating players, you're evaluating free agents, then also thinking about the future with guys like that.
Well, it definitely goes into the planning. Mike Greenberg, Jackie Davidson do a great job for me with that, the cap and all that stuff. So that definitely goes into the planning because we don't want to lose those guys, and we'd love to have those guys, all of those guys in our future, whether we do them, in the coming months or whether it's, later on. It's definitely something that we will broach.
What I have loved about the way you guys have operated over the last several years is that you've had a lot of different types of teams, a lot of different personalities, big personalities. You love a big personality at quarterback, as it turns out. And I'm fascinated by how you can move so agilely when you're looking at what your roster is and quickly, because there was a time where I think everybody thought, you take on that significant amount of dead money, it's over for a few years. But you guys pivoted so quickly into the next thing, into the next phase. It wasn't a rebuild per se, but it was just a next iteration. And I guess, how do you look at your roster from that sort of telescopic lens?
Getting Baker was key there. Yeah. Getting a quarterback at the time for what we got him for, what he was willing to take. He wasn't about the dollars then. He was about the opportunity. And he saw us as an awesome opportunity. He had the foresight to know that we had a good young team, and some good veterans to win with. And then we benefited by having that. We didn't take a big hit there, and while we were eating over $80 million in dead cap that year. But it forced my staff and our coaches to go out and rely on rookies and to draft the right ones and to sign these undrafted rookie free agents that made contributions and to sign some affordable free agents. I don't say cheap, but affordable. And, I think I made a mistake last year saying we're going to go to the dollar store to find players, but we had to. Yeah. We had to find cheap ones. We got you. And but they all made a lot of them. We hit on a lot of them for their roles, and it showed us that we have a great foundation of some young players right now. So that we're going to keep rolling with, and we're going to try to keep drafting well. And I think we're hit a sweet spot where we're competing every year. And
that's coaching, though, because when you do have those players and you identify it, and you basically say, okay, we're pushing you into the world as we've drafted you, and here you go. We're handing you off to the coaching staff. That has not been without turnover either. But every year, it seems like a lot of these young guys are really getting coached up. So how do you go about that identification process of coaching talent? What do you look for in your teachers?
Well, Todd does a great job. The last 2 years, we've obviously had a lot of turnover at offensive coordinator, and he's let me be a part of that. Lets me advise him and all those things, but he makes the call. But he's hired two really good ones, Dave Canales and then Liam Cohen, and then now Josh Grizzard, and I think Grizz is going to do an outstanding job. I think he's going to follow suit with those guys, and I think in some ways, we can pick up where we left off and maybe have some fresh ideas too.
Yes or no, Baker and Grizz is the name of the TV show that you guys should be producing about those two specifically.
I know, and you have to somehow incorporate. I was looking up when we hired Josh last year. He's from a town called Lizard, Licht.
Oh, wow.
So you got to put that there.
Holy
Where's that
I
from?
can't-
Like one of the Dakotas or something?
Oh,
Where
it's
is
in
it?
North Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't even actually wrap my head
Like,
around
what a cool hoodie, like Lizard Lick High. You know?
Yeah, and then you should do a sports jersey, get his name on the back
Yeah,
too.
there you go,
I mean,
there you go.
that's a mind twister.
I haven't thought a lot about like how that offense is going to be different. You're a good person to ask. Like, what do you think that he brings? Maybe that the previous coordinators didn't. That's particular to him.
You know that's still going to evolve. It's going to depend on if we've made any additions through the draft, who we have, accentuate the strengths of, Rashad and Bucky and Sean Tucker. I think we're going to kind of pick up where we left off, and then just like every year evolve a little bit differently and do some new things and some new twists.
When you lose in the playoffs like that, a game that could have gone either way, do you take any specific lessons from that game that you'll use to implement this offseason?
Yeah, you see where we were lacking, and I'm not blind, where we needed some help, particularly on one side of the ball, and you try to do your best to upgrade there and get some more depth. It's not as easy as what some people think. The answer isn't always just throwing a lot of cash and buying expensive free agents.
What? No way.
We've found that there's other ways you can do it. Now, sometimes there's a opportunity for a big splash, but
Yeah.
It did. And after the season, it takes me a while, unless you win the whole thing, just to get over the.
And you have won the whole thing. No,
Doesn't it drive you a little crazy though with football? Because I live in one thing I said about this year's Bucs is if you reran that playoff tournament, let's say 20 times, 10 times even, I actually think there's at least one or two of those times, maybe more, you would argue, where Baker Mayfield is up on that podium with a Super Bowl MVP, and that the margins are
One or two, huh?
right, are so close.
Keep that receipt.
Okay.
Oh, we gave him one. Yes, we gave
one or
him
two out of 10.
One or
That's
two out of-
pretty
you
good.
said
Greg,
20.
you know what, Greg? I
said
knew it
one
was
out
going
of
to be
20.
you.
That's
I
fair.
somehow I knew it was going to be you.
I'm saying there's probably 6 or 7 teams that I thought could have won
All
the
right,
Super
there
Bowl.
you go.
You're one of them.
Appreciate it.
But I'm not giving them all equal chances. To be fair, to be honest, I don't know. Is that the beauty of the sport to you, or does that drive you crazy?
A little both. I mean, it feels good to know that, you feel, and you're trying to think objectively that, we can win the division and get in. We have as good a shot as anybody to get to the big dance in the NFC. So, but we have to keep up. We have to keep adding. We can't just sit on our hands. So
The defense always plays hard under Todd. We know that. We see it. It explodes off the tape as well. But obviously shorthanded in some elements there. What kind of defense do you want to be? What do you want this identity of this group to be past the effort that they put in?
Well, we want to be aggressive.
Yeah.
We want to be fast. We want to be physical, and we want to be. So all things Todd would say, and we want to be a good tackling team. Mm-hmm. And Todd's always, every few years does a makeover and changes a lot of the things that he does defensively to keep it fresh. And I know he's been in the lab lately, doing some things to make things a little bit differently this year. So it all depends on the personnel that you have. So we have to help as much as we can there.
So we had your former coworker John Spytek on the show. How does it feel that you've now got a tree, like a Jason Light GM tree out there in the wild?
He's a great one to put out there. He's been ready for a while and for a long time, and he and I go way back to 2005 when he was a intern with the Dolphins, and I remember we were going to promote him to a scouting assistant after 2 years of being an intern, and I took him out golfing, and my boss at the time, Tom Heckert, said, "Yeah, offer him the scouting assistant job," and I did, and he teed off, and he turned around and looked at me and goes, "You know what? I'm better than that. I think I want a little bit better title." And I was like, "What?" and we ended up giving it to him.
That rules.
Yeah, that's one of those
my
moments.
God.
Probably I almost imagine Baker Mayfield's got a little bit of that. You're almost
See, that's what I'm saying. You guys like big personalities over
yeah,
there.
you're a little taken
Yeah.
aback. You're almost
I asked him
for
if-
a half a second, maybe who is this guy? But also, that's badass. I like
Well,
that
later
guy.
on, I asked him, "What were you going to do? What was your backup plan?" He goes, "I didn't have one." Like,
How was the shot? He hit a
he's a good golfer.
Okay,
Yeah,
all
he's way
right.
better
I was
than
going to say, because if you shanked it and then you said that, it wouldn't have the same effect. So.
I mean, it's not like it was a walk off.
Little
one-
bat
How's
flip.
your
hole in
game?
one.
How's your golf
It's getting a little bit better, but
Okay.
I'm still.
It's getting better on the golf course. Jason Licht, but has been killing it in terms of the draft. Looking forward to all the moves the Bucs are making this offseason. Thanks for joining the show.
And
Appreciate
thank
it,
you,
guys.
Greg, for the bulletin board material.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. I'm saying they could have won the title. That's not bad. Thanks,
5%
Jason.
chance, you said.
Thanks, Jason.
Thanks.